Hey guys, and welcome to my Q and A Monday video. Last week I put out on Facebook and Twitter to ask me any burning questions that you have about my situation, the paranormal in general, or just about me if you wanted to get to know me a little bit better. And I got flooded with so many questions that I'm not going to be able to put it all into one video because I'll be just sat here for 2 hours talking and nobody wants to see that. So I'm going to break it up into separate chunks, so if you don't get your question answered in this video, don't panic, it may appear in a later video as well. If you do have any other burning questions, please leave them in the comments and I'll try to put them into a future video as well. So without further ado, let's jump into the first question. PJ Lucarelli asks, do you ever feel threatened by all of the entities in your house? Do you know how many you have, and why do they seem to be attracted to you? So that's quite a big question. I'm going to try and answer it in little chunks. So the first one, do I ever feel threatened by the entities in my house? The short answer is no. The spirits that are here at the moment don't seem to be very negative. They seem at least decent in nature. They seem to be here for a purpose. For example, I have two spirits that are, as I would call them, sort of resident spirits. They are around all the time. You've got the protector spirit, the sort of spirit guide. I still don't know his name. He's been around for a long time. He's kind of looks after me spiritually, and he seems to be around a lot. I can always sense him nearby. And then you've got Anna, who is, it's a girl. She was born in 1888 and she's 24 years old, and she seems to be lost, and so she's kind of found herself attached to me, and everything I do, I kind of do to try and help her move forward at the moment. That's kind of one of my goals. And as for why they're attracted to me, I think it's just that it's my want to help them. I am very open, I'm very receptive, and I think they can see that, and I think they see something in me that might just attract them to me. So something that they might see it as an opportunity to get help, or just to communicate in general. I think as people, that's something we strive for. That's why we create language to begin with. It's to strive for communication, and we thrive off that. So that could be partially to do with it. Troy Stevens asks, have you simply just accepted they are around you as part of your life? So the way I see it is that there are a lot of people out there that are kind of put into situations that are kind of beyond their control, and you either learn to live with it, or you let it eat you up, and it winds you up that you're in this situation. And I think with people such as like mediums and psychics and clairvoyants, that sort of person, they were born with these gifts. It's not something they necessarily asked for. Some of them may have strove to develop those skills, but it's something that they had anyway, and they might have been in a situation where they had no choice but to see these things, and it's either you learn to live with that, or it would genuinely drive you mad. And I'm sure there are a lot of people that have been deemed as such because they weren't able to accept it. So kind of on that basis, obviously that sounds a very dramatic version of what I've got going on, but I think it's something that I've come to I've just come to accept it, because I'd rather accept it and go with it. And I'm quite fortunate in that it's a subject that interests me as well, so that does help. Belinda Hall asks, I would like to know if you have been followed if you leave your home for more than a few days, on holiday for example. So this will come from the idea that it's me that's haunted and not the property. It's not a house or an object. It seems that they kind of follow me from place to place, and from my own observations, I don't feel that it's as immediate as if I were to go to work or on holiday for a few days, or go stay at a friend's house. It seems to be when I've moved house, it's like a month or so later, and it's kind of the way I've kind of pictured it is, if you've invited somebody along and they're there to see you, and you have to go to work, they're not going to follow you to work. They're just going to wait until you get back, because it's you they want to see, but they don't want to see you that much. And so I think it's kind of in a similar fashion. If they've come here because they want to communicate with me, if I just go on holiday, I'm coming back, so they've no reason to have to follow me. They're aware that I will be back. But if, for example, I just disappeared for a month, they'd probably be more concerned as to where I've disappeared to, and probably seek me out. So I think that's partially to do with why there is a delay when I first move as to when the activity starts up. Maybe they're not aware. I've never really broadcast it to them before, so I can't say I've experimented with that. If I ever move in the future, I'll probably give that a go, but I think that's how it works. It doesn't seem as immediate as just going on holiday. Nate Pendorf asks, I'm a huge fan. I was just wondering, what are your long-term goals? Also, have you always had experiences, or did it just come up randomly one day? I don't really have a particular long-term goal. My short-term goal is to help the spirits that are kind of here right now. For example, Anna. She is my immediate concern, is that she is lost and I've been trying to communicate with her but really struggling. There seems to be some kind of barrier there that is stopping further communication. So every experiment that I do is to kind of build an understanding and a knowledge base that might help me help her in the future. You know what I mean? That's kind of my goal going forward. That's for a long-term goal. It'd be nice if the activity in my house stopped. I'm not going to deny that if I can help these spirits move on, then I'm sure the activity will. But I don't believe that spirits are going to stop coming. Maybe just less active spirits will replace them, if you know what I mean. And as for how it all began, I think it feels like it just came up out of nowhere. I was a complete skeptic before. If things have happened to me when I'm younger, I have been unaware of them completely. I've never really cared too much for it. As a subject, it interested me, but I never looked out for it. I never went out of my way to sort of seek paranormal events. So for me, it feels a little bit like it just came out of nowhere 6 years ago. Lorinda Osborne asks, so you know why you specifically are experiencing paranormal activity? I don't really. There are a lot of theories, and a lot of you guys have come up with theories yourself that perhaps I have some kind of latent sort of medium clairvoyant psychic abilities that I'm just unaware of, and I think that's possible. I have been described as an empath before by people I know. I have an ability to just sort of sense if something's wrong with a particular person, not so far as to feel their pain, but to kind of just like a sixth sense. You just kind of feel it, and I personally think I'm just observant, but it has been described that way. So it could be that there is something that I'm not aware of that is attracting them to me, but mostly I believe it's just the fact that I'm open and I'm receptive to the things that are going on. And if they look at me and something in my aura says this person's going to listen, he's actively communicating, you're going to go to that guy instead of someone that's sat over there pretending it doesn't exist. Stephanie Bennett asks, I love the videos, but do you ever feel afraid of them? And when you're doing experiments, do you feel nervous or scared? I'm always nervous. I'm always nervous and scared when I do any kind of experiment or communication. It's quite simple because it is all unknown. No matter how much understanding you build, you are never fully aware of what you are speaking to. You can sense things, but senses and emotions can be manipulated. There's so many horror stories out there of demons manipulating the voices and manipulating your feelings, mimicking other people and other entities, and that kind of leaves you in a state where you never really know who you're talking to. You can feel all you like and go with it, but you've always kind of got to be cautious. And so for that purpose, for that reason, I'm always a little bit apprehensive and a bit nervous and aware. But I don't think that should stop us trying to build our understanding and communicating and experimenting, because we'll never build our understanding if we don't do it. So yes, I'm scared, but I intend to keep trying regardless. Stephanie Packdell asks, what are your feelings on why there are banging noises when spirits move things? Why do we see some spirits, i.e. the black shape in your bedroom, with the naked eye, but not others? So that's another slightly bigger question. I think it's very much to do with what spirits are made up of. It's my belief that spirits are just energy that is transferred from a person to a spiritual kind of energy. The same way, if we push an object, we are transferring energy that we've taken in through food into like electrical energy that motors your arm, into kinetic energy that moves the object, and so on. It's kind of that transference of energy that's constantly moving. It doesn't just disappear. And so when a person dies and the spirit moves on, that is kind of the energy transferring into something and perhaps getting sort of stuck in the middle. Now, if it's consciousness that's moved forward, then they can actively seek communication. They can try to move an object or to give an EVP. But what if that transference of energy to create that EVP is not as simple as we make out, like just screaming, because you don't have the same anatomy, you're not made up of the same stuff anymore. And what if sometimes that energy can get transferred somewhere you didn't mean it, and that creates a banging instead of the object moving, or an EVP. I don't know, just kind of spitballing. I kind of went off on my own little theory there, but it's just, I think if a spirit's just trying to get your attention before moving an object, so that it makes sure you see something, or if it's trying to communicate, I think sometimes the energy can just get dispersed and do other things, or it could entirely be intentional and they're just making noise because they can. John Gannam says, I've seen every video, just wondered how you can sleep at night without having one eye open. When the house is being active, I have my eyes open. That is just every single time. I don't think I've really slept through all the noises. If there are things moving around, I feel it's partially like my duty, but as I always have my eyes open if the house has been active. If it's quiet, I've developed this ability to just almost pretend it's not there, it's not a thing, like just put it completely out of your mind. But when the house has been active, my eyes are open, I'm alert, I'm aware, because you never know if this thing that's making a lot of noise is just trying to get your attention, or if it means you're some kind of negativity, if it has ulterior motives, or if it's even a human intruder. So I think you've got to be aware and treat it with all seriousness, even if it doesn't seem too bad and it's just been a little bit noisy. Shawnee Howlett asks, do you ever regret starting to contact these entities? No, it's a tough one, because if we go off of the theory that my communicating is actually what brings them to me, and it goes into a situation where the activity gets a little bit violent, a little bit scary, then at that point I will be like, why on earth did I have to try and communicate? Why did I have to push it? But then you get instances where every experiment that I've done has built my understanding to a point that I can try and help a spirit move forward. For example, Anna, who seems to be very lost, I would love to be able to help Anna forward and help her move on. So if my understanding through communicating has helped that happen, then I don't regret that at all. If I can help spirits through that communication, then no, I don't think I regret that, not one bit. Christina asks, do you think the same spirits have been on in you from the very beginning? Do you think the activity will ever stop? I don't think it's the same spirits. I think the roster of spirits is constantly changing. I think new spirits come in. For example, Peter and Debbie have been in for communications in the past, but I've never really heard anything from them afterwards. But at the same time, you've got spirits like the spirit that's protecting me, my spirit guide, who's probably been around my whole life and just not really shown himself until just a few years ago when he was most needed. And yeah, I think of all the spirits that I've come across over the last 5 years, I think he is probably the one that has been around the whole time, but I don't think all of them have. Gamma Slayer asks, why does everyone assume ghosts are evil? They might just want to have some tea and talk about Emmerdale. I included that because it is a little bit silly, it is a bit funny, but at the same time it's kind of not entirely wrong. I think all spirits come in different forms. You get residual hauntings that are just energy repeating themselves. You get more consciously aware spirits that might seek help and communication to try and move on to what's next. But then you get spirits that are just, they've moved into this new form of life and they're quite happy to be there. They're not really striving to become anything else. They're comfortable in what they are, and I think they're just happy to be there. But at the same time, we are still human, so if that is a human consciousness that has moved forward into this other life form, then I don't see why your need to be entertained goes away. This is why you get sort of mischievous spirits who move things and try to scare you, because that is entertaining to them. I think it seems very silly to think about, but I don't see why they wouldn't just want to talk about Emmerdale or sit and watch telly with you. I think everyday people probably are in the presence of ghosts and they're just completely unaware of it. So it's a bit silly, but absolutely I think it's possible they want to just talk about their soaps. And so that's it for this video, guys. I hope I answered your questions sufficiently, and if you do have any more that haven't been answered here, I may get to them in the future. If not, just leave them in the comments and I will try to put them in another video. So thank you all so much for watching, and as always I will see you all next time.